Okay, testing. 1, 2, 3. Microphone is working. Just really quickly, we're going to be having a look at Ivy versus Poise week. They played yesterday, and was extremely impressed by the strategy put on by both teams. So I'd like to go through it. A little bit about me. I have 10,000 hours in CS:GO. I was face at level 10. I on a Veil team as well, and I play Veil. So I'd like to commentate on how these teams played this map really well. We're starting off with Sunna, one of my favorite maps, a recreation of Dust 2. Yeah, very interesting to get into this. So starting off round 1 here, we have pistol round. We have Ivy starting on attack. Initially, we'll just go to the start of the round because I'm actually very interested by how they begun the round.
Then
if you pay attention to the minimap in the top left, you'll actually see what I'm interested in is player number 9 here. Player number 9 makes his way towards the A site, then flips back towards the B site, before then once more flipping back towards the A site. Now, whilst this here doesn't look that noticeable, and you only actually pick it up when you're looking at the minimap, this is actually one of the reasons why this round fell apart so much for Ivy, and that being one of the 2 main reasons. We'll go through the other reason as it comes. But here we see they're going for a 3-2 fake, which on pistol round is interesting to see. It's not unheard of, but usually teams play together because numbers advantage on pistol round is crucial. So we see Goblin pushing down A long on his own. I say on his own because Imagine, number 9, is very, very far behind them, and I assume they were meant to go in together. So Capsy on backside, very well cooked nade, very good timing. The footsteps coming down long. I think this is the smoke thrown by Goblin. Capsy nades the smoke and then gets ready for anyone to swing past him. This is sort of clinical A backside defending. And then we see 200 full queefed and Imagine sat back on long and main actually. So the main reason why this round falls apart is here. So we see Poise initially, actually, if you look at the B site, they double swing long. That's Infused and Femzy double swinging long together. This is a sort of common strategy to stack B on pistol rounds. And now you see Femzy and Infused have got a lack of info. They have info from the A site, so they've decided to clear out all of B long for the chance that there is a fake, which they were correct in assuming, as there is a fake. Then we see Femzy and Infused pushing down long on the minimap. Frenzy Killer and Knock are ready for this. Just there, Poise Prodigy's catching 200 full queefed on main. He was one of the players that was supposed to be faking A main. He did make his way out of A main, but then was caught by the A main player. So currently both players for Ivy unsuccessful at faking A. Now the number advantage is very much in the way of Poise. And then Frenzy Killer here crashes because it's not nighttime. If you don't know, nighttime you crash less. So Frenzy Killer on daytime crashed because daytime causes more crashes. So now it's Knock and 1v2 on long. He does catch the first kill onto Infused Power. And I believe he also does catch the second here with a nicely timed grenade. So that there, Knock has just almost salvaged the round for Ivy. They completely fell apart on the A site. But Knock on B long, getting those 2 picks really saved the team there for this round. But now it's dependent on how they manage with one of their players being crashed and that player being the scan carrier. See, this is where they're sort of realizing, oh, he's crashed. Not very good for them. Boys just sort of rearranging themselves. They could be expecting them to go either site. Interestingly enough, Poise never actually saw Frenzy Killer with the scanner, so they have no idea where the scanner is. And then Knock picks up a nade from, I believe, Femzy's body. Kills Billiam on sandbags. Sort of the classic grenade kill you get is the sandbags nade from long. Very nice from Knock. He's got 3 kills so far this round. He's really saving Ivy this round. Now into a 2 versus 2 with Frenzy Killer not being able to come back, but also Ivy not being able to recover scanner. So Knock and Imagine are just going to have to go for more picks. Nice jiggle peek there from Nock. Does get a lot of info. But Ivy is sort of just running around, not knowing what to do with Frenzy being crashed. And then we see Scanner go back into spawn. That's all I'm going to catch from this round, just because of the numerous issues that happened. So we'll just head on to the next round. Now Ivy now splitting up for what I believe is their default. This is the classic default you'll see most teams employ, the 2-1-2, saying one player mid, 2 players towards B long/mid, and 2 players towards the A site. Femzy gets a great spawn nade onto 200 full queef. That's sort of one of the common pre-nade spots is this area over here, where Femzy dies, where 200 full queef dies. Something to look out for. That's a great initial pick for Poise there. We'll set the cadence for the round. Now Femzy's over-aggressing a bit on long, has infused behind him as well to back up. So this now the second round where they've double stacked up long and they've met no resistance so far. This time they are not over-aggressing though. They are just going to hold it. Ivy are sort of just coalescing in mid, trying to make some form of progress. You see here, Gublin is solo making his way down A long. It's a risky play because he's allowing Capsy to be in a situation to swing him. It's a bit of an interesting, I don't know if they want to call it a lurk, but whatever it is, it's certainly an interesting strategy to leave Gublin on his own to fight the A anchor. And we've seen Capsy anchors A site every round so far. So Gublin actually winning the fight. Fair play to him. That's gun diff, right? Actually, not even gun diff, mechanical diff. Capsy had the long range gun, but Gublin, better reaction time and better aim, gets the kill without even being damaged once. That's a great pick there for Ivy. So now that's their A back site player. Gublin lacks the initiative to take the opportunity to take back site. Instead, he rotates back to his team, which is indicating that Ivy want to go for, I believe, a B push instead. Frenzy Killer makes his way out mid. This is very good. So we see on minimap, after Gublin gets this kill on A long, Ivy are aware that a rotation will come in from Poise because of the lack of player on A site or lack of players. So that's how Frenzy Killer now makes his way out mid. It's certainly interesting that they let the scan player do this. I would say maybe not the scanner player is the one peeking mid, but nonetheless, Frenzy Killer gets that initial pick. But what goes wrong is when he goes for I completely changed my mind. Frenzy Killer did a great job there, getting both the mid players. This round is all but free for Ivy now. But this is what interested me when I saw this play is Gublin gets a pick onto A back site. Frenzy Killer gets a player on mid that's rotating to the A site. Frenzy Killer also gets a player that was underpass rotating to the A site. With this 3 picks that come from Ivy, they decide to do a B push. This is very interesting. I don't know what the thought process was here, but it works out for them as Nock gets the initial pick onto Femzy entering onto the site. I don't think they were expecting Infuse to be with Femzy. I think maybe they were expecting Infuse to be on A site. But Infuse getting 2 here, completely catching his team off guard. Completely catching Ivy off guard because when Nock killed Femzy, I doubt he was expecting another player to be on top of Femzy. Now a 1v2 for Infuse Power, who's last alive. Take note of that. Currently, the Ivy players are split up. Infuse is aware of where both of them are. So what Infuse is now trying to do is single out a gunfight. And then this is where a very interesting play comes in. With Nock's blind fire. This is a very nice shot, I will admit. I think everyone likes to hit a clip like this. I point this out now, this blind fire, because as you'll see later this map, and maybe as I go on to other maps in future videos, Nock tries reliving this moment far too much and dies far too much from trying to blind fire a lot more. So this is a bit of a reminder not to try and relive the same clip. Just let it happen once. Maybe don't try and blind fire every second, because it kills Nock a lot and his teammates actually. So now going on to the third round. Ivy going for, again, a very heavy mid presence play here. They're sending 3 towards mid already with scanner A main. And this here is exactly what I was talking about. I think having had seen Gublin's teammate Knock get a blind fire kill, maybe Gublin felt inspired to go for one himself, but he ends up getting punished by Billiam, taking no damage. That's a free pick for Billiam there, and that's great for Poise in the round. Bit of overconfidence coming out from Ivy, maybe. Now we see 3 players of Ivy are heading up cat / in mid, with the scanner player in A main. And Poise have all the info they could possibly need here. Femzy, for the 3rd round in a row, has made his way somewhat down long, this time a lot further than the previous times. So he knows for a fact there is nothing B long, at least up until the point where he is, and maybe not able to clear top mid just yet. Infuse is getting info that there's someone cat as well. They haven't seen scanner yet, but I'm sure Poise are suspecting a B push here. And then this is where it all falls apart completely for Ivy with this fight here. If you take a look at A on the map, actually also ignoring that, Knock with a knife kill into mid. A good kill. Didn't do much for the round, sadly. Freaksy or Capsy getting Frenzy Killer on A main. Frenzy Killer carrying the scanner. I'm not sure if this was intentional by Ivy, send the scanner player lurking into A main. But this allows Poise to completely control the rest of the round. As you see, Billiam drops off of B site and makes his way towards the A site. And you'll see 200 full creep does get infused the cat player down. So now Ivy do have B site, but this is the least of their concerns with what has just happened on A main. Now Ivy clearing out the A site, they've very much realized that they're screwed. This round just completely falls apart for them because of this scanner being on A main. They've got 50 seconds left, and they're just having to scramble to get scanner on B, scanner on A. And the Poise players are just able to rat in places throughout the map and catch all the Ivy players off guard. Now left to Knock in a 1v3. You can't really expect him to win this. I mean, he's got 40 seconds left as you see him clearing out B long. I will comment, it's interesting to see a player with 40 seconds left and he knows where scanner is, take so much time in mid. See, 30 seconds left now, he's still just half crouching his way through mid. Now 20 seconds left. So at this point, even if he were to full sprint towards the A site, grab scanner, he wouldn't have time to plant. And then he is just caught off by Femzy with 15 seconds left. So even had Femzy lost that gunfight, Ivy still would have had the round. So yeah, definitely an interesting round from Ivy. Anyways, on to their next. This time they are taking scanner with the team. They do have another A lurker, but this time it is Gublin instead of Frenzy with the scan. That's good for them at least. Femzy once again fighting B long, this time on his own. In the previous 3 rounds that we've looked at, he's not been contested on long, which is, I think, why he has gained the confidence to swing like this, and hopefully he should be punished here. He is punished. That over-aggression is a bit of accidental conditioning from Ivy, where Ivy have given away B long on previous rounds, so now when Femzy is expecting them to give away B long once again, they're there to respond to it. Used is there to attempt to refrag, doesn't manage it. And as this happens, I would like to say, the same fight that we saw 2 rounds ago between Gublin and Capsy, where Gublin's lurking A long. This time Capsy does take the fight after having jiggle peeked Gublin and does kill Gublin. So that's the A lurker for Ivy gone. But they have a pick on B long, so they can make their way towards B a bit faster. Then Billiam getting a pick on Cat is traded out by Frenzy Killer, actually. That's a good trade between the two. The pick here that saves Ivy is 200 full queefed, catching Infused Power, who swings long again. So that's Poise having lost 2 players now on B long from over-aggression, which was great for Ivy. So now Ivy will take the B site, I would hope. As now we see scan is picked up. The entry onto B site does happen. I believe Knock here peeks underpass and gets a pick onto one of the A players that's rotating. That's Capsy. That's something that A rotators need to be concerned about when the enemy is pushing B, obviously, is the peak and underpass. And now it's just down to Poise Prodigies in a 1v3. Not playing close here. He has the sort of support from 200 full queefed on backside, Penis. You see here, Knock, I think, trying to once again relive one of the moments, goes for the blind fire, is then shut down by Prodigies with a nice shot. We'll see Prodigies try to systematically clear everything. This is some good sort of technique of clearing angles. Smokes Cat. And then this here, he would have had this clutch in the bag, I'd say. This Molotov he throws onto backside was great, but what happened next was very poor from him because he Molotovs backside and then doesn't hold for the player that has to leave the Molotov. It's almost as if he Molotoved it and didn't expect someone to be there. Because now you see population's forced out of his position by this Molotov, and Poise Prodigies is caught completely off guard. If I were him, I would take the time to molly backside and then hold the player. Instead, 200 full queefed is forced out by this Molotov and not punished for it. A bit of wasted utility, more so just a lack of playing with his utility. Now, halfway through the half, we're seeing the first full push here from Ivy that we've seen all map. Taking it very slow initially. Bit of unlucky timing, I would actually say, with how the teams have both decided to play this. Billiam this round has decided to push into lower tunnels. This is the first round of the entire series where he has pushed lower tunnels. And it's all dependent on Ivy's preparation for this. So you see Billiam hits the swing, catches Knock, and then doesn't catch anyone else. Bit of a shame to see because Billiam here has gotten a very good position for himself. He's changed his style of holding mid, and now he's gone into the Ivy players, and he's actually caught all of them off guard. So see here, no Ivy players actually looking for him. He has a nice initial flick onto Knock, but what really ruins the round for him, at least, is that he can't capitalize on getting anyone else. Just a couple, missed shots and then transferring to someone else. So that's Ivy suffering minimal damages there from that sort of sort of a misread of a play. I think it looked like Knock initially was ready for lower tunnels, but then he sort of just turns around at the wrong timing. And then after that play, of course, if you direct your attention to a long on the minimap, we see Frenzy Killer is picked off by Capsy. Again, a bit of an interesting setup. So they have Goblin and Frenzy Killer stacked up on long, but then at this point, Goblin drops into A main, leaving Frenzy Killer alone on A long with the scanner. Then at this timing, Frenzy Killer then will peek long and try and crouch walk up it. At the same time that Capsy's already holding him. So Goblin sort of ditching his teammate. Frenzy Killer's fault for maybe not being aware that his teammates ditched him and peeking on his own with scanner. That's Poise free pick from Capsy winning the one-on-one gunfight. And then Poise have info on the scanner. So now we'll see a rotation come in. This is just, again, another one-on-one gunfight that goes the way of Poise here. We have Goblin holding an angle onto A main, as everyone knows that holding angles isn't really beneficial. Prodigy's a nice headshot. Refrag comes in from population, so that does mitigate the error in Ivy's plays once again. But still, now they're in a 2v3, and Poise know where the scanner is. Or Poise should know where the scanner is. It doesn't appear they've rotated. Maybe Capsy didn't see the scan on long, which might have saved Ivy a little bit. Population able to recover the scanner. You can see Frenzy Killer had attempted to crouch walk down long. Now we're seeing a full rotation come in from the side of Ivy, just because they've completely failed to take A side. They've not left their initial marks. And what Poise have done nicely here is, I think, either they've decided consciously that they saw scanner, but they want to ignore the fact they saw it, or they didn't see scanner and it's led them into a lucky situation where they've stayed on their sites. But now we have Poise spread out, ratting in positions, potentially Ivy not expecting them to be in these positions. As now we see Infused Power holding long. He has the info, and he catches Imagine off guard completely. A bit of an off-meta position, obviously, from Infused to be playing under Rocket. I think that's why Imagine didn't expect him. But now, Poise 3v1, they know where Scanner is, and population's on low HP. I'm just going to skip past this because I don't expect anyone to win that. This time, another full push from Ivy. I think they finally decided to sort of, grow a pair of balls and actually push a site. Now we're seeing a proper push, one going cat, that being Goblin, and then the other 4 going long. This is the more sort of clinical, classical Veil play you see. Poise, once again, stacking long, actually ignoring cat. Goblin not really aware of this, maybe. To be fair to Poise, actually, they are still aware of cat. Infused is checking it from time to time. Femzy gets an initial pick onto one of the players crossing, I believe, with a smoke bang. Now, Frenzy Killer makes his way across first with the scanner, which is risky play. And then from the gaps in the cross smokes, so Ivy throwing incorrect smokes, Infused is able to pick up 200 full queefed. And then also picks up Frenzy Killer there as well. Frenzy does get Billiam on Undersight. I believe Frenzy had the idea of wanting to refrag his teammate, but peeking underpass, when pushing B, you're dealing with anyone that's underpass, a ramp, a site. There's just too many places to be shot from and killed, which is why Frenzy dies with Scanner. So finally, a correct cross smoke does come in. Now we see Goblin, who we've not paid attention to this round, but he did the initial cat push before being discouraged by Infused initially peeking. Then Goblin now makes his way off of cat, and he goes for a mid insert as his team pushes the B site. I think this play from Goblin would have been more beneficial had his team not been completely shut down on the B cross. So Goblin does pick off Capsy as Capsy rotates. Now Poise have one more position to worry about, but they go for the long clear here. Prodigy's very aggressively solo clearing. This is a bit of a oversight from him, a bit too of an aggressive play. I understand the intention because one of his teammates had just died in mid, and he probably is expecting Nock to have rotated. Maybe he didn't hear the scanner still there, but Nock is ready to punish this over aggression here, as now we're into a 2v2. So Ivy sort of fell apart a bit with their cross due to the failure of smokes and the tendency to fight cross a bit too much. But Goblin and Nock recovering the round by just playing more patient. Goblin with a good pick onto Femzy there. That's sort of just textbook play from Goblin, I'm going to say. He crosses ramp. He's looking at default now, holding it. Gets a good timing when Femzy peeks it. Goblin was very aware of that. And now it's just Infused in the 1v2. They hear him ladder at this point. And at this point, it should be all hands on deck from both Ivy players to just kill him. I believe this is the intention. Nock doesn't complete scanning and instead goes for the fight. A little bit risky to take the fight one-on-one instead of letting Goblin fight with him. But if he's confident in his gun skill and he wins the fight, fair enough. Now that's 3-3. Ivy tying it up now. So we've seen so far a lot of interesting strategy from Ivy. I think a complete lack of coordination and cohesiveness, but they make up for it with some sparks of gun skill coming out from players like Nock, positioning from Goblin at times. I think they're being a bit let down by where they're taking Scanner and what Scanner's doing. I think they're also lacking the correct utility at times. They had a bit of a hard start on pistol round, but it's no excuse for the other rounds. As now we see Ivy going for a full A push. That's a great nade there from Nock. I've said this before, Nock, whilst having a tendency to bait his teammates in the past, this map he is currently doing very well to help his team and save them. I think without him playing, this would have been a lot worse for Ivy. That initial pick there is one of the sort of indicators of that, as Nock with a great grenade onto Prodigies. See, swinging backside, very well played actually from Capsy. As when your main player dies, as the backside player, you need to be peeking main and backside. And Capsy's done very well there to get a pick. He probably could have done more. as now I think he gets the second one. And this is actually textbook backside play here, swinging main and then swinging long and switching between the two, Capsy getting a kill. Interesting here. So Capsy does mess up his reload. I think maybe a bit of panic after having his teammate, been picked off. It's a VRML match for some people, not as experienced. It's intense. I get it. Messing up the reload can happen, especially with an AK. What was a complete blunder, though, was Capsy swinging whilst not having a loaded gun or not even holding his gun. So we see here Gublin catches Capsy on the overaggression, whilst maybe Capsy could have won the fight had he had his gun in his hands and had he reloaded it. So yeah, maybe don't swing before you reload. Now 2v3, same 2 B players for Poise. Interesting APC buy. Well, I'm not going to say buy, but APC choice from Femzy as Infused and Femzy. This is a nice pinch here, actually, I will say. Femzy's pushing up main, and he's pressuring population who's on Duke to either have to swing him or be open to the mid player, which is what happens. Infused catches population, and now Femzy and Infused have successfully played out the entirety of main and backside together. The entirety of main and site together. All they now have to worry about is backside. Interesting here from Femzy. I get the concern of left side sandwich, but this is a complete blunder of a play, I would say. He's just given audio of himself swinging and then not done anything else, and now he's let himself be swung by Imagine. A good second pick there from Imagine. I will say that's a nice play there. The issue being, if you look at the mini-map, Infused Power here now actually was aware of Imagine. I will say Imagine just winning the fight. Infused was low health, which is a bit of a shame. But Femzy let himself get killed, and then Infused was caught off guard by the lack of his teammate being there, or maybe Infused just lost the gunfight. Nice play there from Imagine, though, swinging off of audio. Now puts Ivy up around. This is the first time they've been in the lead, which is good for them on attack, of course. And we see another A push from them this time. This time it's I'm not sure what to call this because I don't really see plays like this often. They're doing a 3-2, which usually is, 2 people faking, Scanner going the other way. I've never before seen a push where Scanner is a part of the group that is faking. So all I can really say is this is a 2-man lurk on B long, which is interesting to me, to say the least. Capsy, good grenade there. He's been, I think, 3 for 4 on the grenades as a team pushes long. He's very good with the timings, and he's got a kill almost constantly with the grenades. So then that sort of got down the Ivy push there. That's Scanner as well. Gublin then does refrag his teammate. I think at this point, though, boys have heard the Scanner. They're now just completely pinching the A site. MZ with the nice over-aggression here. He comes off of Cat. He takes LT, which is like a very aggressive play if your enemy is defaulting. But I think they're under the impression that IV's doing a full push here, which is why Femzy feels confident enough to push into LT without worrying about anything else. Then takes the fight with Imagine, wins it. Gublin now on very low HP with Scanner, and he's now going towards the B site. The Poise, the Ivy players on long finally activate. Again, I don't approve of this play, and it's interesting to talk about. This is Ivy sending a 2-man lurk. The 2 lurkers have waited until the entire team has died apart from Gublin to take space. The progress that they made whilst their teammates were alive was abysmal, to say the least. They barely got to the first pipe on long. And I think because of the complete failure of the A push, Poise didn't even need to send Infused Power to rotate. So Infused still anchoring the site. We'll hear long presence here. And at this point now, it's no longer a fake for Ivy. It's just a completely, like a very, very weak B push. So Gublin here gets lucky enough timing to cross. He now makes his way too long, which is good. Gublin has the info as well, that there's a player in garage. And now we see this here, I think, is again like one of the most interesting plays and attacks I've ever seen. So you watch as the two lurkers of Ivy have made their way up long very slowly. I have no idea where their smokes have gone, but then you see Goblin having to run up long with scan, but just going into the final play of the half, which I was just narrating quite nicely. We see, so Goblin crosses first with scanner, then Knock follows, then Population follows him about 3 seconds after, which is the perfect interval for Billiam to reload and then get ready to hold the angle again, which is why both of them died. And then Knock last alive. So Ivy lose this round, you may guess. I'm going to summarize why they lost it. Knock and Population fiddled with their Johnsons on long for upwards of 2 minutes, whilst their team died on A. Goodwin then scrambled to rotate with the scanner, and then Goodwin was then forced to cross first, whilst Knock and Population still sat behind him doing nothing. And then Knock still has done nothing this round and has not seen anyone yet. I believe Knock now, for the first time in the round, 40 seconds left to go, this is his first time seeing someone. Femzy pushing him on long, that is. As now he loses this fight. Oh, does win against Femzy. Fair enough. Then caught off by Infused. And that's the half there. Interesting from both teams there. I would say I didn't see a single round from Ivy, which I was a fan of on their attack. Maybe one of their slams was actually quite good. I think the reason why it's 4-4 is because on paper, Ivy has maybe more mechanically skilled players or players that are able to make better plays. Like they have playmakers on their team. It's just they lack the cohesiveness to push together, and it's more so who can bait the other person and then pull off a cool play at the end of it, which is how Ivy had pulled off 4 rounds. You see, like Knock makes a good play, maybe, or Goblin makes a good positional play. And that's about it for Ivy's attack. If you guys enjoyed this and would like to see another video, please comment for another video on Poise's attack, which is just as interesting, I assure you. And maybe if this gains enough traction, I'll do the other maps as well, because they are also just as interesting and very fun to watch.